Good afternoon, everybody. Can you hear me? No? Better? Okay. Good afternoon. I'm Jason Shank. I'm your Sergeant at Arms. I'm pulled off the bench number C, at the last minute to come in here and help President Greg out. So welcome, everybody. I hope everybody had a great Memorial Day weekend and enjoyed time off with family. Had a bunch of graduations going on. Very, very busy time for everybody. With that said, if you could please make sure you silence your cell phones, or there's a $20 fine. Just kidding. So our guests, visiting Rotarians joining us virtually on Zoom, please identify yourself in the chat. If you're watching on Zoom, register your participation by sending an email to info@rotarygainesville.org. With that said, I've got a special guest to come up and help us with the song today. It's John Gregory. Come on up, John.
A little lower than that. God bless America. Go, Gordon. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairie, to the ocean, white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. Go for it.
Thanks, sir. All right, with that, we'll do our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. All right, if I could go ahead, and we're going to start with our invocation, and I think we'll have Kevin Thorpe join us today. Kevin, take it away.
May we pray. Lord, we are beyond grateful for this day. We thank you for the new opportunities that you have provided for us. Thank you for this club. Thank you for each participant who joins in person, those who join electronically, and those who follow up on YouTube. Bless all of today's participants, especially our young people and the families that they represent. Allow what we do and what we say to continue to be pleasing in your sight, for your sake and for your glory. Amen.
Amen. All right, thank you, Kevin. Okay, if you are a guest today, or you have a guest today, if you could please remain standing and introduce your guest. David Nicholson is going to come around with the microphone, so just wave at David. He's right over here, and he'll bring you the microphone.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me? Good afternoon. Am I on? Great. Thanks. My guest today is Tyler Board. He is a real estate agent with Watson Realty and a veteran, Navy combat veteran.
Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. Fellow Rotarians, I'm Ben Campen. I have some very special guests. Wow. Sorry. I have my daughter, Ashley Carroll, her daughter, Maddie Carroll, her son, Carson Carroll. I have my son, Ben Jr., his wife, Robin, his son, Jacob, his daughter, Kate, and also Robin's mother is joining us today, Claudia Connolly.
Welcome. Welcome.
Good job.
Do we have any visiting Rotarians today? Oh, got Dana in the back. Welcome, Dana. Oh, we got one more. I'm sorry.
Hi, I'm Richard Allen, and I'm pleased today to introduce my guest, James Cordiero. James is visiting us today to get a feel for what Rotary is all about. So, great day to be here with Ben and his family, and with all of us. So, everybody, please take a little time and tell James about Rotary. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Dana, welcome. All right, and with that, I'm going to invite our president, Greg Young. Come on up, Greg.
Thank you, Jason. I appreciate Jason stepping in at the last minute. Tom Collette is on vacation with his family. So let's see. Welcome everyone today. I'm so glad you could join us. And I think right now I'm going to just move aside. We have a special announcement today, and David Gracie would like to do that. And I want to bring David Gracie up. Past President David Gracie.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, President Greg. And I've got a kind of a special little talk. I want to talk about the Paul Harris Fellow recognition that our club and that Rotary International does. Named for Rotary's founder, the Paul Harris Fellow recognition was established in 1957 to encourage and show appreciation for substantial contributions to the Rotary Foundation. Paul Harris Fellow recognition acknowledges individuals who contribute or in whose name contributions have been made to the Rotary Foundation for $1,000. Today, the foundation funds and administers thousands of projects to improve the lives of people all over the world and to promote international friendship and understanding. Foundation programs provide education, food, water, healthcare, immunizations, all sorts of good globally. These activities are implemented and managed by Rotarians and Rotary clubs all around the world. So now I have a kind of a special opportunity, a distinct pleasure to introduce someone whose Rotary journey has been highlighted with countless achievements, accomplishments, accolades, awards, including some kind of big time ones like the E.T. and Vam York Service Above Self Award, the Brent Williams Spirit of Rotary Award. That's an award given to one individual in the district. Whether he's providing service to a friend, just helping a friend, a neighbor, or if he's providing service to our community, our country, or even globally, Ben Campen's benevolent spirit shines most brightly during times of need. It's kind of a neat thing about Ben, if you know him well, like I know a lot of us do. He has this authentic enjoyment for providing service, and it's real. That's what drives him. It's such a neat thing to observe. Following the devastating 2004 tsunami in Southeast Asia and the destruction of Hurricane Katrina in Mississippi, he embarked on selfless trips just to extend a helping hand to people in need. Ben says the key to happiness is helping others. I think that's why he's such a happy guy. We are immeasurably fortunate to have him as a member of our club and a sense of inspiration to all of us. And before I ask Ben to come up, I'm going to tell one very quick story, Greg. I know we've got a great program today, but I've got to tell this story. The last time I remember seeing Ashley or Ben Jr. at our club was when Ben was awarded the E.T. and Vam York Service Above Self Award. We're talking about 12 years ago. I don't know when you won that award, Ben. It was a long time ago. Okay, a long time ago. And what I thought was neat was someone who I've known since I was a child is Ben Jr. stood at the podium and told a cool story about some service that the Campen family had done in Waldo. And what was neat about this, I didn't realize it at the time, but it really embodied who Ben is. There was some kind of a little local fundraiser, Waldo, trying to help a needy family. They had a daughter who wanted a bicycle for Christmas. And essentially, long story short, rather than just contributing towards it, Ben Sr. says, well, I want to help, but one condition, you've got to let me buy the bike and deliver it to the family. He wanted Ben and Ashley to experience that same gratitude that Ben gets from service and giving. So let's welcome Ben Campen up here to join me at the lectern, please.
Thank you, David. Very kind words. It's great to be a Rotarian, and it's wonderful being a member of this Rotary Club. All of you are friends of mine. We've worked together for years, and it means a lot to me. Rotary is very important. There's two things in my life that have been very monumental and very important to me, and one of them is being a member of Rotary and going and doing various things throughout the community and the country and the world. And another thing is being able to be a member of the Paul Harris Fellow. And when I joined Rotary 36 years ago, I became a Paul Harris Fellow, and it opened some doors for me and made it more meaningful to participate in various functions that Rotary gets involved with throughout the world and helping make life better for other people. That's one thing. The other thing is having a great family and friends. And I'm honored to I told my kids when I told them I wanted them to come to this event that I was going to be honored today. Indeed, I am honored because I get to honor three important people in my life. My daughter, Ashley, my son, Ben, and his lovely wife, Robin. Three people who have been very instrumental in me developing and becoming who I am. And they've always been there to support me. That's who they are. And they contribute to their communities along the way as well. So it's my pleasure to be able to honor them. It's my honor to honor them by making them Paul Harris Fellows. Ben, Robin, Ashley, y'all would please come forward. And I want to take a moment while David's getting the other plaques and ribbons out to thank David, Greg, thank you for making this opportunity available, and David for what you've done in facilitating. David actually made a call to Ben and Ashley and made sure that this date would work out because it's important they're here. And they drove all the way from Jacksonville for this. They live in Jacksonville. And I'm very pleased with that. And I want to thank Naomi and Marie for setting the tables up and everything. Thank you. Thank you. The newest Paul Harris Fellows.
Wow, that was great. That's a very important honor, Ben, that you've bestowed upon them. And you are a great Rotarian. You've been a great Rotarian in this club for many years. So in the interest of getting to the youth speaker, so for the, for the science fair winners, we want to get right to that. Thank you, sir. So I just want to quickly say, and if we could put up a slide from this weekend, if you're there. I know Brendan's got a lot of things to juggle today. We had a lot of requests come in on his PowerPoint presentation. This is from last weekend, Saturday. We had some of our Rotarians show up. We had Richard and a new member, Susan Maston, not really new, but she's recently joined, Wilbur Holloway, and new member Ryan Kern, who joined, and we made good progress. We're going to be out there again this weekend. Anybody wants to join us, please contact me, or I'll be sending out some information. Look for that. And we look forward to making a big progress this weekend. Wilbur, Sam, many of you know Wilbur and Sam Holloway in this club. They are a two-generation Rotarians right there. And, you know, Sam has been a member of our club for 48 years. And Wilbur joined in 2016, and they've been coming together as father and son to our club meetings every week. And I want to thank them both for their dedication to this club. Over there. Yeah, Wilbur was out there on the rebuilding this past weekend, and he'll be out there again this. Oh, actually, I think he's got plans, better plans. But anyway, so at this point, I want to bring up the MC for today's program. Oh, he's right there, John Gregory, our singer for today. John Gregory is a retired professor of mathematics from the University of Florida and has been a member of our club since 1982. John, come on up.
I know. You're all expecting a poem, right? Well, I got one for you. Jason was asked about a scientist. Do tell. Do you know the name Pavlov? Challengered Yale. Shank thought about Pavlov and seemed, And then you could see that he beamed, and he remembered Pavlov does ring a bell. Today we will hear from at least two, I think. Thought Maggie showed up as well. But anyway, today we'll hear from two different middle school students. These are 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students. Got that? 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students. hopefully they'll wow us with what they have presented to their state judges. They've all won prizes at the state level of science. I do hope that we'll be able to follow them. Any questions can be held off, though, until the end, okay? All right. First, we have Hamza Khan from Kanapaha Middle School. Yeah, here he comes. Come on. Mr. Khan will show us what he told the state judges about, ready? How electromagnetic field can be altered to affect Earth's atmosphere. Mr. Khan.
Okay, hello, my name is, can you guys hear me? Okay. Hello, my name is Hamza Khan, and I'm a graduating 8th grader from Kanapaha Middle School. Now, my title is How the Electromagnetic Field Can Be Altered and Affect Our Atmosphere. Now, there's a few different kinks I can do about this. The first is the reason I did this. I'm pretty interested in Elon Musk, and my dad's an engineer, so I'm pretty interested in engineering. He's done a few different stuff. He's works at Sandvik and Monsanto in St. Louis, so I've been pretty interested in all the stuff he's done. Another thing is I've done this because when Elon Musk made the spaceship Falcon, I was really interested. Okay, how did this work, and why did this work, and how did this all happen? Now, around 3 decades ago, there was something, our ozone layer was all destroyed because of pesticides. And we didn't know that around we only knew that after a decade or so. We were like, oh, it's actually because of pesticides, because we thought it was something else. So what we did was, okay, now this is a really bad problem, because what happens is if we can't find a solution to the big problems, like for example, absorption, something I'll be talking about in a little bit, it's really bad because we're not going to be able to we're not going to be able to have solutions for it, because when our ozone layer is destroyed, our UV we can't really have UV rays hitting our skin, because it can really damage our whole entire skin, and it can have skin cancer. Now, I think my theory will work is because an electromagnetic thing changes the amount of electric current that flows through it, and that's why I use EMFs, electromagnetic fields. So now that magnet will represent our actual electromagnetic field. The iron fillings will represent the absorption happening. So for example, UV rays, ozone particles, and oxygen particles. Now another magnet will represent the Earth, and now when all these combines into a line, we'll represent and see how absorption works. Now we'll be in a line and works because the electromagnetic field will be more powerful and bring the iron fillings to the electromagnetic field. Some background information about this is many trains actually use this. One in Japan and Tokyo and all these other places, they use maglev trains. Maglev trains are actually really helpful because it makes it go much more faster, going around 200 miles per hour. And I mean, obviously, people probably don't want to go around 200 miles per hour because, well, they're probably going to fly off. So it's more used for construction and having labor or some wood or coal coming off. Maglev trains, the one part that makes it faster is because it doesn't have any kind of friction. This is about because when there's a little space between the actual train and the actual tracks. So this shows that if you use a regular train, it just gives more friction, meaning it goes slower. Another one is big is MRI scans, because when two magnets are on opposite sides of the person, and then the person creates a barrier, so it's not a straight line showing that, okay, this is where the broken knee is, or this is where the broken arm is, or fractured something, so we know how to repair it or something. Another pretty common one is cars and electric motors. They operate using principles of electromagnetism, which shows that a force is applied when an electric current is present in an electromagnetic field. Now, this force creates a torque on a loop of wire present in a magnetic field, which causes the motor to spin and perform usually well. Well, nowadays, there's more cars that don't really use this, like Teslas and other kinds, because they are electric. The materials I used was copper wire. I had 3 different kind of copper wires. I had more of a 2mm size one. I used one middle size and the smallest one. Now, I used iron fillings, as I said before, representing ozone particles and oxygen particles. I had a battery. Those were, it was just AAA batteries. Metal nails, I had the exact same one, just regular metal nails. Tape, I also had some wire cutters so I can cut the coil because it's pretty sturdy. Ruler just to see how far away the iron fillings and how much they can attract to the actual electromagnetic field. And I also used the white paper so it can all be seen and not be it gets all scattered away. Now, my problem statement is, how can the electromagnetic field be altered? I'll be using different coppers and see if anything gets affected. My independent variables are copper wire, wire cutters, iron fillings, and the voltage of battery, and metal nails, and ruler and tape, and white paper. Now, my research, as I did this before, my hypothesis, I wanted to see how the electromagnetic field can be altered and affected. Ask me, why though? So, how can the atmosphere be altered by the electromagnetic field? It's like nothing. You can't even see it, so how could it be altered? But actually, a German physicist, Gustav Robert Kirchhoff, observed that atoms and molecules emit and absorb electromagnetic radiation, showing that at characteristic frequencies and that the emissions and absorption frequencies are the same for a given substance. This is really good because this gives a lot of information about how my studies or my presentation here goes with. Because the research Gustav showed us, it shows how we're able to, how absorption works and how we're actually able to use this with other kind of stuff like maglev trains, as I said before, and MRI scans. Some other stuff, the procedure, first I got a white paper, as I said before, so then it doesn't get scattered away like on a carpet or like just on a regular concrete floor. I first got that. Next, I got a battery, and I got a straight line of copper. I got around like a foot of copper, so then it can get wrapped around the actual metal nail, so it can get like wrapped around good. I got around 10 coils, so it just goes around 10 times, so it knows how much it's going around. Next, I put a straight line of iron fillings, so if something changes, we could see it clearly. I did this on each and every single different metal nails and each and every single kind of coppers. I repeated this for all 3 kinds of coppers. Lastly, I put all of them in big straight line and saw the changes. Some observations I wanted to make sure before happens is nothing's in between it. Like, for example, if there's like some kind of toy or like some kind of leaves, I made this happen inside, so nothing like kind of like air or like some kind of drift happens, so like all the iron fillings move around. So this doesn't happen. And one observation I made was that the batteries last around 10 to 15 minutes when I'm actually making the EMF. And this is because whenever, like, it takes a lot of power to make the actual energy go around the coil, because these AAA batteries are supposed to last around like at least a month or 2. And 10 to 15 minutes is really nothing to this. So now the only copper nail that was spinning around the actual nail was the middle copper, because the middle copper conducts the best energy, and because it's like the porridge, you need to have like it's good it's like hot or cold, and like the middle one is like probably the best one for us. Now, in conclusion, I did 2 different tests. One was with the solar panel. I did this before, and obviously it didn't work because the solar panel gave too much energy. And in the start of my presentation, I talked about how EMFs give, you can change how much frequency of energy you want to give through it. And while solar panels can't really do that, it just gives around 200 volts per 200 volts, and that's too much. And well, it just like cancels out, and then like the whole entire copper won't work. Now, these are the different pictures I have. And this one right here shows how the battery, it shows how the iron fillings are actually moving to it. All in the, it's also the actual nail moves to it instead of the actual iron fillings moving to it. Now, that's all. Thank you.
Wow. Hope you got all that. Next, we have Alexander Sue, who from 8th grade at Lincoln Middle School. Here he comes. He will present his project, Social Media's Impact on Teenagers, FOMO, JOMO, and Stress. Mr. Sue.
Thank you, Dr. John Gregory, for giving me this opportunity. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoy my project. My project is about social media and its impact on teenagers. A little bit of a background into this study is the summer of last year, where I experienced a crisis to discovery experience due to my activity on social media. Social media seems harmless in some ways, and on the platform that I engaged on, Snapchat, most of your interactions with other people are ironically limited to pictures of their ceiling. And you might wonder how just seeing their ceiling or maybe the side of their face is exciting, and how it could possibly have led me to want to commit suicide and even led me to this project. The truth is, social media it truly isn't as innocent as it seems. And I found myself, after a traumatic experience over leaked messages, even after my phone died, you'd expect that someone who's experienced suicidal ideation wouldn't want to go on social media, and yet I felt that I was missing out on everything on social media. And that leads me to the first effect that is studied in my project, the fear of missing out, which is defined as perceptions of other people as having more rewarding experiences from which one is absent. What are other people doing on social media that I'm missing out on and that I don't enjoy? After throwing my phone across the room and not touching it for 2 months, I found myself in a happier place where instead of having an urge to check my phone for more notifications, I was happy that while other people were worrying about what they saw on social media, I was proudly reading my book like nobody else in my class ever did. And that brings me to now where I find it puzzling that my friends around me can't seem to get their eyes off of their phone, even at the lunch table. And I thought, truly there has to be science behind this. And that leads me to my second effect, the joy of missing out, which there's very little empirical data on. And I believe if I shed more light on this, perhaps other people like me will be able to have better regulation on social media. So I narrowed my project down to 4 research questions and hypotheses, consisting of my hypothesis that there is a positive relation between social media usage and stress. The more you use social media, the more you may experience stress. The fear of missing out is associated with higher levels of social media use, and the joy of missing out is associated with lower levels of social media use. I also believe that demographic factors such as age and gender may play a role in your stress and social media usage. My study followed a mixed methodology consisting of qualitative and quantitative measures. I implemented a survey questionnaire which included 4 scales of quantitative measures, usually being a statement such as, I feel proud to be on social media, and how does the respondent agree on a scale of 1 to 5, strongly disagree to strongly agree, or in the middle. I also implemented 3 qualitative questions that are open-ended, and after achieving IRB consent, I was able to analyze the data using IBM SPSS statistics and using Google Forms to create a consent form as per requestion by IRB. I was able to use thematic analysis on the open-ended questions and statistical analysis such as one-way analysis of variance, Pearson's correlation coefficient, and Cronbach's alpha of reliability. The 3 figures that follow are taken straight from my project, and they are data that I have generated on IBM SPS statistics. For the sake of time, I'm not going to go into each graph specifically, but if you are interested, after, the poster to my far left has these graphs. What I'd like you to take away from this project is some specific findings that I found in my statistical analysis and my qualitative analysis. There is a positive and moderate correlation between stress and social media use. What that means in statistical significance is that in the event that the null hypothesis is accepted, which means I believe that there is no relationship between the 2 variables, there will not be a relationship. My p-value for all of these correlations is very low, and essentially if the p equals 0.005, then 5% of the time there will be an error where there's no relationship. So 95% of the time there is definitely a correlation. I think this is significant as there's very little known on JOMO and FOMO, and sometimes it just seems like these effects that you talk about, but truly there is. I found a strong correlation between FOMO and social media usage, and even FOMO to stress itself. In my study, I was not able to find any statistically significant correlations of JOMO to any other variables, which is unfortunate, and also quite puzzling, as conceptually, FOMO and JOMO are the opposite. However, you see one on the very polar end, where it's highly associated with social media usage and stress, and JOMO, instead of being on the other side, has no correlation whatsoever. My third hypothesis is not accepted due to that. Through my thematic analysis, I did observe a sort of mixed state, where through the open-ended questions, people were reporting that when they were off of social media, they felt better and they felt more coherent, but in another aspect, they still felt the urge to get on it. which leads me to believe there's a mixed state of JOMO and FOMO, where you are experiencing the joy of not being on social media while also still experiencing that urge to get back on. I think this study sheds a lot of light on issues with social media use and mental health in kids, and I hope that through this, we can answer questions such as whether social media usage that is unregulated is a predictor of addictive behavior in the future, perhaps how we can help kids get over this, and maybe the effort we can take to have kids informed of the risks of social media before they get on it. As before I got on it, I did not feel that there was any risk whatsoever, and now I feel that, like other kids, there is issues with it that need to be brought to kids' attention, and perhaps there should be measures to measure teens' mental health in school or in clinical trials, such as when you go to the doctor, instead of just having your ears checked and your eyes checked and open your tongue, they also ask you perhaps, how are you feeling, and whether you think social media is an issue for you. I hope that you take away from this study, and I hope that perhaps this sheds more light on the people around you that are also stuck to their phone on social media, and I hope you can help them. Thank you for listening.
Well, okay, what is MO? JOMO, what is that? Excuse me. All right. Is Maggie here? Maggie? Yes, Maggie's. Now we'll hear from Maggie. Go. Come on. She will demonstrate what she did to the state. There you go.
All right, so hello, my name is Maggie Gao. I'm a 7th grader at Lincoln Middle School, and my project title is Effect of Fire Extinguisher Foam on Soil Quality and Plant Growth. First, let's talk about fires. Fires, as universal disasters, transpire daily and across the globe. They can occur in a variety of scale, such as a small accident in your backyard or even a large disastrous blaze in a forest. However, the aftermath of these fires leaves behind a trail of destructive consequences that can harm both the environment and the economy. To prevent fires from occurring, firefighters use a variety of tools. None are as effective as the fire extinguisher. However, the use of fire extinguishers introduces a significant concern. As a result of these fires, a large quantity of this foam is released into soils every year, but its effects on soil quality and plant growth are still unknown. Fire extinguisher foam contains numerous toxic chemicals, including per and polyfluoroalkyl substances, also known as PFAS. These are a large group of man-made, long-lasting chemicals, often nicknamed forever chemicals, for the persistence and toxicity in the environment. Many PFAS are shown to cause serious health risks, such as cancer in humans. So, if PFAS has such a negative effect on humans ourselves, what effect would it have on the environment? To answer my question, I plan to evaluate the effect of fire extinguisher foam on soil quality and plant growth. My hypothesis is that high dosage of this foam will deteriorate soil quality and plant growth. To set up my experiment, I first scattered 5 groups of soil. 1, control, which would be left untouched. 2, 1%, which would be contaminated with 1% of fire extinguisher foam. 3, 2%, 5%, and finally, 10%. I gathered 2 different types of beans, tomato beans and mung beans, and I planted 4 seeds in each pot, respectively. Then I grew my 50 pots in total over the course of 2 weeks and watered them for 5 ml daily. So here are some of my results over the 14 weeks. You can see on day 2 that not a lot of the plants have sprouted and the beans have barely began to germinate. On day 4, there's little to no progress as well, but tomato seeds are starting to germinate. And finally, on day 7, you can start to see the growth in the tomato plants, but there seems to be little to no progress in the bean sprouts. After the 14 days, I took pictures of each plant and weeded them out from the pots. You can see here, the top images are the tomato plant results, and the bottom images are bean results. Clearly, as you can see, the control is much more effective and has more growth than both 10% groups. I put my data into charts to compare the growth and germination rate of each plant. Here are my charts for my tomato growth and germination, and you can see here that both germination and growth rate starts to steadily decline as we go from the control to 10%. Then I calculated my p-value to make sure my data was reliable, and since it was less than 5%, I can conclude that my data is valid. You can see here as well that the bean germination and growth rate were also starting to decline as it gets closer to 10%. None of my 25 bean plants grew out at all. They all died out and became moldy as compared to my control, which means that there seems to be some effect in that high content of this fire extinguisher foam was harmful to both plants. In conclusion, again, I can conclude that high concentration of fire extinguisher foam can pollute soil and is toxic to plants, and that I should conduct additional investigations to further research PFAS and its toxicity in the environment. Finally, make sure to watch out as PFAS is used in many consumerism products such as food wrappers, non-stick cookware, and some cleaning products, and as well as fire extinguishers. Thank you.
Take that. Okay. No. Oh, yes, 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 yes.
I know we have to have some really good questions out there. Here we go.
Questions for Mr. Su. Are there any types of social media that you think are more detrimental than others?
For sure. I believe that things like Snapchat are actually in ways more detrimental to kids' mental health than social media like TikTok, which is based on scrolling and seeing feed, whereas Snapchat utilizes these small things. It implements this thing that's called Pavlovian conditioning, which is similar to the way that slot machines are designed, where with every single action, like pulling the lever and watching it, there's a sound which triggers dopamine releases in the head. The brain believes for every action that something good is happening, and when that system is hijacked, you can do self-destructive behavior. Knowing that it's a bad thing, you may repeat it over and over again. And Snapchat, it's designed, it shows you there's a new notification, or it has this thing called a streak, where the more that if you send a picture to someone every single day, you build streaks, and you'd be surprised that teens at school get in very serious fights over kids not holding their 365-day streaks. And in that way, I think that social media like Snapchat are much more harmful than other things like TikTok and Facebook.
Thank you. So related to the PFAS and the seed germination rate, PFAS, from what I've been hearing lately, they're pretty prevalent in a lot of things in our soil. So would you hypothesize that would carry over to other types of PFAS or other sources of PFAS in our environment?
Speculation. Probably, since PFAS is so persistent in the environment, there could be, it's a man-made chemical as well, so so there could be multiple sources of PFAS throughout the world. And since it's still so hard to get rid of, I think it's definitely persistent in the environment today, and it should be something we should work to solve and find solutions to.
Regarding electromagnetic field, could you speculate how that might produce rain in arid areas?
Sorry? So I speculate. Okay. Well, first of all, electromagnetic fields, they might be able to make it more rain, I guess, because if you say, I guess, the more places that rains, I guess you could say in like Brazil or like forests and everything, I guess they have more radiation over there. Because why? Because like their UV rays are much more detrimental, because there's a lot of different reasons. Like there's just one thing I was researching actually a few days ago. Golden conures, they're actually they really need one thing, is the humidity levels. And well, humidity levels, they also go like how much it rains and how UV rays. So it shows that how much like you should want to like how electromagnetic fields goes with it, because however much, if your electromagnetic field goes with however much UV rays there are, it shows that, okay, this is how much humidity is, and then the rain goes into that because the humidity, and then it affects different kind of animals, like, well, I said golden conures, and like different kind of like birds and parrots. So like, I guess, yeah, speculating, it doesn't do a lot of stuff. Like electromagnetic fields can make it rain, I guess, a little bit more than usual.
Yeah, my question is for Mr. Hsu about the social media. You mentioned the word dopamine. For the audience, could you explain, number one, what is dopamine? And number two, do you believe that you get a hit of dopamine from text messages?
Yes, so dopamine is the brain's reward chemical. So whenever you do something, whenever you satisfy a need, such as even hunger, you release levels of dopamine. And social media implements this sort of system where it gives you very small bits of dopamine, and when the intervals aren't regular, as there are other people, the dopamine shots are like other people sending you a message. They can't control when they send you a message, but because there's space in between, then you're more likely to pursue it, so you stay on the social media app for longer. I find that when I see people on social media, actually the majority of their time is just staring at it, waiting for people to be hit with dopamine. They wait for messages, and that's how it becomes detrimental to people's lives. And things like text messages, that's how the dopamine affects you. And when there's a sound that's associated with it, then you're even more inclined to be waiting for another message. So definitely.
To the last speaker, I have a question with regard to the soils. Did you measure the pH of any of your samples or the pH of the foam to see if there was any net change in pH overall?
I did not conduct any pH tests on my soil or my results, but in the future I plan to test the soil quality of PFAS over time and see if PFAS is persistent in the soil or if pH levels affect or correlate to high PFAS levels.
Thank you, John. Thank you, speakers today. Wow. Yeah, please give another round of applause. You know, they say necessity is the mother of invention, and I would say that all of our speakers today talked about current situations that need solutions, and so I think you're on to a good track, and please continue your work and expand on that. Thank you. It sort of seems every year at this program, all the adults in the room seem to feel a little less adequate. but we'll get past that. We're moving on. But these young people truly are impressive, and I hope they continue their work and continue researching and helping to make the world a better place, because that's the work you're doing right now. So please continue with that. So, John, I want to thank you so much for, where did John go? Back there. John, every year, he's been doing this program for many years now. And it does take a lot of work to prepare, to go to the schools, and then to produce the program that you see today. So he's been a big help for us. But John, if you can, I'll do this up here and then I'll bring it to you later, because just for the interest of time, I would like to present you from afar with a certificate stating that we're going to give money to the Cade Museum Fund to help people in underserved communities be able to attend the Cade, to acknowledge, to enjoy the activities and learn from the activities that they do here at the Cade that spark wonder in the minds of young people. So thank you, John. I want to thank everyone for being here today, and for our special guests today and presentation. We had multiple special guests. We had this special table that was so glad you could be here, and our speakers today. So this is a really unique program to have these great activities going on, and that's what makes Rotary special. So I want to thank you all for being here. Next week, we have another great program. Helen, where are you? I saw you here. Helen Kornblum. She will be hosting our Service Above Self Middle School Award winners. So please come next week and bring your guests, and we look forward to that. And thanks again for everyone that's been helping with the tables in terms of cleaning up after yourselves to make it easier for everyone here to get out expeditiously. So for a quote today, nothing in life is to be feared, it is only to be understood. Now is the time to understand more, so then we may fear less. Marie Curie. Rotary raffle number is here somewhere, and it is, last three digits, 740, 740. And if with that, our meeting's adjourned.
You did a good job. I don't care what they say. Exactly, because they all say the other thing.
Yeah, I know. Well, you know.